Working on the grill center for a 37 Dodge pickup. Here's the crank hole cover that would go in, actually go this way. Anyway, as you can see, I've got three of them. I got this one, and this one, and the zip ties here are kind of holding these together because they're broken. And this one you see is not, it's just missing the bottom piece, which would be like this. What you notice though is this one is an original one, this one is an original one, this one's an aftermarket one, and has nothing to do with shine or anything, but it does have to do with this middle bar right here. See how it's cast? This is cast aluminum. From here to here, there's no gap in the middle there. And when you look at this one, there is. This is pot metal. See again on this one here, this is pot metal. So the pot metal ones are the original ones. The aftermarket ones are these aluminum ones, at least the ones that I've seen. And so in order to fix this, I would have to put this in, which means I could cut this out of here, put this in here, or build something and weld it in there. And this crank hole cover, unfortunately, is an aftermarket also. I was hoping I had an original, but I don't. So it does go in here like that. I'm gonna have to use this, but I'm not a fan of the aftermarket grill piece, although I think it's okay, and it would look good if you chromed it and did it up right and fixed it, which I may do eventually. But I'm gonna work on this one right here. This is a pot metal one. Like I say, it's broken in a few spots. I have to straighten out a few things. I have pieces like this of here. I have this extra piece here, which could go up in here. One thing I do know about this one, the guy actually cut it off at a certain point to use to fix his grill, or his centerpiece of the grill. So he cut this off, so I don't know how much is actually missing there, but I know that these parts went with it, like that. And I know it's a little short. So this is my one piece that I will be scavenging off of if need be. This will be the one that I rebuild. And this one I may rebuild as an extra one in event, you know, and this only needs this piece here made, which I could probably create somehow, you know, like this. You know, get a piece of aluminum and make that up. It doesn't have to be exactly like that, but it can just be pretty close, and this one would be complete. So this would be the easier one to fix, really. But again, like I said, I want to fix this one. This is the original one, so we'll bring this one forward and show you that I've got these zip ties here, like I said, holding these together. You can see that it's not, you know, really together there. It's split right in the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to fix these, and I will show you my progress as I go. So here's my setup I got here. I've got a couple of pieces of wood, so the V part fits down in between them. I clamped the pieces tight. You can see this is actually the crack right there, and it's actually right there. So it almost looks just like that one. That's what I kind of want. I want this exact as possible. You can kind of see it a little bit better up here. But these are flush together, and I'll fill all that. And this guy here is a little loose still. That's the way it is, because he broke off too. I got to probably bend that back and fix that, but I'm going to fix that from the front and in the back. And then it'll all come down here, and then there's another little crack right there. You can barely see that. This piece here was also broke off of this piece. You can see this step right here. I'm gonna after I solder the middle, I will pull this and seat this right. Make sure this is all straight on the other side. I did have to straighten a couple of these fins. Now this is pot metal, so you gotta be real careful. You just tap real light on something like this. You don't need much oomph at all. But that's where I'm at. I'm gonna give this welding a try. What I decided to try and use is this here product. Read about it, and we'll see how it works. So we will solder that up. They call it welding, but soldering, welding, and we'll see if it holds. I've seen stuff that it holds pretty good, so we'll see if it holds in this application. So here we go. Here are my muggy welds. Here, and up here. I also did that on this side too. Kind of see it right there. Still got to clean up the one edge there. But this is how that muggy weld worked. It's kind of like more of a solder. It's not easy to work with, not as easy as I had hoped, because what the hard part is you have to heat up the parent metal before the joint and let that joint get up to that 350 just over degrees. And when you put flux in there, it tends to want to boil a little bit before this parent metal is hot enough. So you got to heat each side first and let that heat draw down into there. Well, that's not as easy as it sounds, even though it's supposed to be that easy. And I left a little hump on these for more strength. Now, what I have to do is, if you look at the side of this, it's kind of hard to tell, but this piece right here is bent down this way. And it's bent from right around in this area here. It starts to come down. That's why this isn't lined up right. See how far down it is. So I have to pull this up, bend this up, match it with that, solder that, and then I'll solder this last one too. Kind of do that all together after I squish it and bend this straight. Hopefully, by trying to straighten this, it's not going to break all my welds. I don't know how strong this stuff really is. I've seen some reviews on it that was okay, but I don't know how good I did. So anyway, there it is. So it's continuing with the grill center repair. So I used the muggy weld here, up there. I put a rod. This is a whole piece. Kind of like this idea. So what I ended up doing is I took a rod and I shoved it in that groove right there. I drilled a hole through here, shoved that rod in that groove, and then took this piece, held it up inside there so I could muggy weld it on there and here, because this is a whole different piece right here. Of course, I had all this fixed first. All the center was fixed, because this whole thing was in two pieces, this side and that side. So you can see I did the welding on all of it, and then here, and I welded it around here also, and I had that rod in here. It's like a threaded rod that I shoved in there, and plus it needed to be welded here because this was broke from that. These two were broke. This was a completely different piece off of a totally different grill. So it leads me into this bottom piece here. Now, this was bent. This piece was bent in. No, excuse me, not this piece. This piece was bent. This was slightly bent in, but this one was really bent in. This is pot metal. Got to be real careful with pot metal when you bend it. So what I did is I just held onto it really tight here and here, and then I put this on a piece of wood and I pushed down so I could kind of try to get that straightened out. And I just kind of push. It's kind of like let it work itself into shape rather than trying to just jam it and go. As I understand, you really can't heat it and bend it. It doesn't necessarily work real well. But anyway, I also held it together here and I bent this one just a hair too. So that will give me adequate room to put this in there. Again, this is all the backside, but so now I'm working on this end to hold this end from here to here. So the piece I had in my hand, this piece here, had that part. In fact, that part is right here. But this piece was broken. I mean, this is the piece. This was it. This is just this piece and this piece. So what I just did, I just cut this off. See, I just cut it off, and I cut it off kind of close to here. So I have a reference point. So now I'm going to trim this piece off a little bit. And then I can square that up and get this centered, this piece, this point centered between here and there. And then wherever this one ends up is where I'm going to have to build more, I guess, muggy weld or whatever I have to build into there to fill this whole big crack here. That's my plan. And then wherever this is at, then I will make this fit by, you know, grinding this end down a little bit if I have to make this actually fit in here right, because the angle's a little different. You know, this is aftermarket, this is original. You can tell by there's no groove, right? There's a groove there, but not a slot all the way through. You know, this is all kind of cast together, and this is cast aluminum, this is pot metal. That's the main difference between them. So that's my goal on this, is to try to trim that out and put that in there just like that. And as you can see, I'm going to have quite a bit of fill to do here, which I think I can do. So now I'll get cutting this off a little bit, squaring it up. I see this is rounded. I got to figure out how this all really goes together. I think it's up like that. Yeah, like that. And then we'll go from there. So here's my fancy clamp setup, see? Just got a couple little clamps. I'm lining that up exact. As far as the curvature goes, this happens to be just touching right there, which is good. I'll be able to grind on that a little bit after I secure this side. I don't want to get too many things out of whack here, but it's just a hair down I see, which can be easily taken care of, but it's pretty good right up in here. So I'm going to solder it in right there. So there's the finished, well, not finished, but there's some of the soldering I just did. I can see I still got a little gouge right here have to work on. Shouldn't be too bad. And then this one's pretty full. I'm going to let this cool down a little bit. As you can see, some of it came through inside here. Got to grind some of it out. Anyway, I will probably do some more, or I know I will do some more touch-up on it, but that just gives you an idea on the muggy welding. What I do is I heat up the material hot. Not quite hot enough to melt this, which is going to be around 750, 800 degrees, but this stuff melts, I think, at 350. So you make sure that's all good and hot. I would say beyond 350. And you take your solder stick or your weld stick and you dip it in your flux, and then you tin it. So you put this material on the base material first, and then you go into your crack. And it seems to work pretty good that way. At least so far it's holding. It's only been, you know, putting this whole thing together has only taken me a couple tries to get this welding thing down right, if it's right. But anyway, that's where it is right now. And so that's what this looks like. And then again, this will fit right inside there because it's a crank hole cover. And there you go. And I will give you updates as I go. So here's kind of the wrap up on the grill center. All I did really now is I just kind of grind out some of this. I still got a little bit more to grind out, but I'm not gonna worry about that really right now. Also kind of ground down my repair here. So that's all good to go. As you can see, I still got these little pieces here that I gotta grind out. And then on the back, you know, I might finish a couple things out a little bit better, but that's about it. You know, like right in here, I know there's sheet metal that goes up against here, so that might have to be worked, but I'm not gonna worry about that right now. So this is it until I decide to strip it completely for either chroming or whatever I'm going to end up really doing with it. I'm not 100% sold on what I'm doing yet. Oh yeah, you can see here too, I ground that one down. This was the joint here, kind of see that. That's that same joint. Anyway, so I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do yet, if it's going to be really chrome or if I'm going to do a chrome paint or something like that, maybe at first to try it. This would probably be quite expensive to chrome, and it's pretty delicate too to do. So anyway, that will wrap up this video of repairing the center section of the grill for the 37 Dodge.